conservatives are also a franchise. Mm-hmm. And they have their little piece of the pie, as everybody is. Mm-hmm. No one's innocent, guys.
Oh, absolutely.
Everybody's going after the almighty buck and their own survival, and I understand that. It's unfortunate, but it is. When I went to direct My Son Hunter, no one was reporting on it, really. Mm-hmm. Little bits and pieces of it, and no one believed it. The New York Times did not believe it. So I was getting a lot of flack saying, are you kidding me? You're going to do this? You're going to do that? There's no proof. There's no this. There's no that. Everything that's in that film. So now what happens is we do a film, a feature film that's decent. Mm-hmm. It's beyond decent. It's beyond the average. It's well done. It's a satire. It's entertaining. It's got a lot of factual stuff in there. Okay. Good performances. So here's this film, a conservative does, and we get it out there somewhat nicely. And yet, each week, as something else is unfolding that's in our story, you think they would say, let's show a clip of the film. Let's dramatize it and go support My Son Hunter, the way they did The Sound of Freedom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it has its moment, but then there's a jealousy in terms of not promoting anybody else's material. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying?
Also, I mean, something that's kind of always been a theme for you, like you mentioned with SAG and, streaming, is you're kind of cursed with being prescient and knowing things, what's coming down the road 10 or 20 years later. And, then everyone kind of gets on board, but it's only to promote their little piece of it.
Their piece of it, their agenda of it. And it's like, I remember... And what does it take? A Jesse Waters or a Miranda Devine, who, I know she was, I mean, I didn't even think about it when we did it because we talked about the New York Post, but, I think people were upset that we didn't mention them in the film. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Okay, I understand that. But now don't cripple the messenger. Say there's a terrific film called My Son Hunter. People should watch it. Mm-hmm. There could be a quick little plug on that. What's it going to kill them? Yeah, we're giving it to the public for free. Yeah, nobody's making any friggin' money on it.
Also, really important because it's still the website MySonHunter.
MySonHunterMovie.com.
Okay.
MySonHunterMovie.com.
Right.
But think about it. Think about the lack of understanding culture in the conservative movement. They're brain dead stupid. Do you know that Congress in the United States wouldn't give a screening of My Son Hunter in Washington, D.C.? The ballless people up there? Because of Joe Biden or whatever. That shows you they're all joined at the hip. They wouldn't give a screening of My Son Hunter in Washington, D.C. at that congressional toity-toity thing they have up there. So that tells me right away, you mean to tell me it's Pelosi. You got all these power mongers up there. These are mafia dons. They're not politicians anymore. They're worse than the KGB in Russia. They're worse than the KGB in Russia. Worse than them.
Yeah.
Because they don't pretend. They pretend there's something else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
They pretend there's something else, and they're bamboozling the American people. And you see the figures. How do you get so wealthy being a politician? How? I mean, live comfortably. But $400 billion? How?
Yeah.
How? $400 billion. But I resent the fact that they're brain dead and they don't then say, okay, here's a film that is politically relevant. It tells a story entertainingly. Let the general public make their decisions. And when it first came out and some of the left saying, well, this was a fairy tale, this didn't happen. And now it is. And I then texted some of those guys on Twitter and said, hey, I think you should revisit the film.
Because there's so much stuff that's come out. I mean, when did it come out originally?
September, a year ago.
Right. And look at all this new information that's basically maybe in the last 6 months. I mean,
I was there with the Russian mafia, with the Russian woman, the mayor's woman, giving them money. No, I dramatized
Mayor of Moscow?
Yeah, I dramatized it differently, entertainingly. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But it was in there. It was in there when he gave the ring and the Communist Chinese Party and the Communist spy chief. It's all in there. And Burisma and Joe Biden being Obama's go-to man, the whole 9 yards, and giving the $1 billion to the government of Ukraine. It's all there. It's all there dramatized. So you would think, hey guys, watch this film because it has a different effect. Culture has a more lasting effect than a blurb on something. And also celebrate your artists that are courageous enough to do something.
Yeah.
Celebrate, lift us up. If it was Alec Baldwin doing something on Trump, you bet your ass the left would be piping that out every single day.
They're masters at it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
They really are.
And my thing is the GOP are brain dead.
Yeah, and I think a lot of conservative influencers and talking heads, I also think they're just not very good at highlighting, promoting, and celebrating the artists on our side. I think they're getting better as more and more of us create and get it out there. But at the same time, I think that there needs to be more emphasis on the artists because, we are the people who are going to be able to reach out to all of those normies in the middle of the country who are non-political, apolitical, haven't been influenced. We are the gateway to those people. And if we can influence them and change their hearts and minds, then they're voting,
Look, I've written for Breitbart for over a decade, not recently, but prior. Mm-hmm. And as you said, the prescience of some of the articles way early on, even in terms of the petrodollar and China's security in 2010 that I wrote about. China's our biggest threat to security. Everything, if you look back at some of those articles that I've written, and you mean to tell me that I think that what it was is when Andrew Breitbart was alive, he would say to people, hey, you should talk to Davi, right? There would be that kind of synergy. And it'd be interesting perspective. It's not the run-of-the-mill perspective. It's like, as I have 8 kids, I'm pro-life, but I'm sick and tired of hearing this abortion crap every single election cycle. I've had enough of it.
We already won on that.
Yeah,
we don't need to go.
Did you ever think in your lifetime we would win? And yet somehow just for raising money and to have an even, higher ground, Republicans are still, trying to outdo each other on it. And before I forget, the one thing about Breitbart, and I think why he was so important and why he's missed, is that he didn't care about getting credit for the introduction and for doing things. And I don't know if we have anybody like that of his caliber now.
No, there's nobody that says, hey, you've got it. You should sit down with him. Andrew would go to Fox. He'd go to different guys and he'd say, hey, you've got to hear from this guy. You've got to talk to this guy. You got to celebrate this guy. Now everybody has their little friendly, whatever it is. You know what I mean? You've got your relationship with certain people and other people. And I was told very early on by some of these people that some in the conservative movement were, because I was too much of a wild card, perhaps, or you know what I mean. I was whatever it was. I was told.
You're in movies with naughty words.
Well, not just because of the movies with nerdy words, not just because of that, but no, it wasn't that at all. It was the formidableness, of my understanding some of these issues. Getting back to this abortion thing. Now we saw how vehement that the corpse, the corrupt corpse, or the decayed corpse of Chuck Schumer, when he says how they're going to use abortion as a big issue. All right. And now all the women, and I did a tweet, I don't know if you saw it, my tweet on abortion. I'm tired of hearing these women on the left that are never going to have a baby. And my body, my choice. My body, my choice. Let them be murderers. Tell the right, worry about, I got my kids, 6 girls, I tell them about life. I hope they understand. But beyond the personal choice, let's take that issue away. Because if 20% of the females out there will never vote for a person because it's my body, my choice, then be a murderer. We've got to see, then murder the baby. Then I have a right to say that you're murdering a child. Your body, your choice, at a certain period of time. When does life begin? When was the respectful life? Whatever it might be. And, it's a losing proposition for when we want to win the bigger issue, immigration and law and order in America.
Right.
That's what we should be fighting for. I understand the sanctity of life, and that should be taught in the home and in the churches, and we should mention the sanctity of life.
Mhm.
But take it out of the political arena now, because it's going to be the big issue. You know they're going to be a big issue on it coming to 2024.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're
Yeah.
going to regurgitate that ad infinitum, and they're going to do a million ads on this thing and a million other things on that. And the right should say, yes, here's what abortion looks like, and show ads. We support your ability to wanting to kill your baby. Women, okay? If you want to kill your baby, and we should call it for what it is. As disgusting as it sounds, coming from a male, because they resent that. But and I'm not being very sensitive, but it's a frightening proposition. There's other ways of dealing with this abortion issue, or the education, which we were supposed to. Were we not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're a woman, Lisa. What is your feeling?
Yeah, I mean, I think that
It's difficult for you.
well, I mean, the issue is not difficult for me personally, but you know, I think that you're right that there's like this 20%. It's kind of like they're never going to have their hearts and minds changed. And
No.
even if we you know did have you know abortion on demand anyway, and still do in lots of places, you know, I'd rather kind of the issue continue to galvanize people and go live in your states. And that's exactly what, you know,
But it's not enough.
done. Yeah, I know.
It's-
That's what I'm saying. Is like we're letting
It's
them
not enough for the left.
state when we're never going to get their vote anyway.
It's not enough for the left. So you've got to take it off the table to triangulate them. You've
Yeah.
got to triangulate them and say, okay, here it is. You want it? Here it is. Here's what your
Yeah,
party
they have
stands
to
for.
take and eat it too, because then they get mad at you because they want to celebrate that choice when they make that choice, but they don't like when you tell the truth about the choice. Then
No,
you know,
we have the right to tell the truth. They have the right to their choice, but we have a right to tell the truth to our children.
Mhm.
We believe abortion is murder, and it goes against the natural order
Mhm.
of what a female should do to her child. Now, there's extenuating circumstances that they want to fight, but the whole if I want to just slap Joy Behar in the face every time I hear her talk "my body, my choice," and she's vehement on that. She's vehement on this whole thing, like she's going to have a baby tomorrow.
Right.
This is an Italian woman that has no respect for life. You mean to tell me we don't respect a female's life or her body? That has nothing to do with that. The unborn has a certain protection that we should have toward the unborn.
Yeah.
Anyway, you know.
Well, I
and
mean,
then
it's my body, my choice until, you know, it's the COVID vax, you know, then
everything's
then-
science. Everything's
Right.
science. It's like the windmills killing the whales right now.
dude, that's nuts. You know, I was just thinking about Star Trek, the Voyage Home, which is the most profitable Star Trek of all time. It's the one with the whales, and it was all about saving the humpback whales, which was very popular in the 80s. It was all this. I mean, Robert, you remember the Save the Whales bumper stickers? Greenpeace had them all over. I mean, you saw them everywhere.
Free Willy.
Yeah, man. So it's just the irony of all ironies that the left was this, you know, the left wanted to save the rainforest. Now they want to cut it down and bury the trees. They wanted to save the whales back in the 80s. And now they're killing the whales. You know,
the left is the most corrupt, bereft of any kind of ethic in the world. And if we don't call them out on it, that's another thing that's weak about this. The GOP is too polite.
Oh,
I could never make it in Congress because they'd be shutting me up and sanctioning me because I couldn't sit there and let them bullshit me. And I would have to say, that's a load of bullshit, sir. With all due respect, madam, you're full of shit. That's what I would be saying to them right from the chambers. You're a liar. Why am I a liar? Here's why. Because I was in their Amazon rainforest. I was there in 1990. I remember when we were all save the forest, save the tree, plant the tree, plant the tree. Now it's chop the tree down. I was there for that. Save the whale. Now it's windmills. Let's kill the whales. 70 whales were killed from December of last year to now. 330 whales remain on the East Coast. 330, ready to be extinction, these spiritual animals.
Yeah.
And yet, where are the environmentalists talking about that? And what about, I don't care what you say, look, how wonderful the lithium battery is and the cars and the this and the that. We don't know what pollution that's going to create. And we know it's, I did the film in the rainforest when they were destroying the rainforest because of the gold digging and the emeralds.
Right.
Now they're doing that more so with the lithium batteries and the lithium and the minerals.
Mines. Yeah,
the
mining.
mines. They're doing more than that. And we say nothing.
Yeah,
And people believe it. And the people on the stupid people in Hollywood, the most ridiculous group of people are the people in Hollywood that they got to be so dumb that they don't understand this issue, that they just go, oh, it's like a bunch of sheep. You got a couple of main sheep that have horns and can butt their asses and help feed them. And then the rest follow like, that's what I think about Hollywood. A bunch of dumb sheep.
They're
And
all
I
driving
love-
their Priuses.
I love people. I love people. I hate talking about guys. Be individuals.
Yeah.
Go for truth. Don't go for hypocrisy.
Robert, that's your era of actors. You know, I mean, that's your era of men. That's not the same kind of dudes that are occupying Hollywood these days.
No, you have them back then that were very myopic in a certain way. There was some issues that were myopic. There was there too, but you also had half of them that were like me.
Mm-hmm.
You had another strong contingent, not that were big stars, that would feel the same way and would say, wait a second, this is hypocritical.
Mm-hmm.
What about that? Johnny Carson would argue both areas.
Yeah, he was great.
Johnny Carson wouldn't, what's happening in California now, unlike Jimmy Kimmel, who's a nice guy, I met him in Italy, did when he had the Italian thing in Hollywood, sang a couple of concerts there for the San Gennaro Festival. He does great stuff. But on this issue, on the political issue, Jimmy Kimmel fell apart.
Yeah.
It's hypocritical.
He fell in line with everyone else.
He fell in line for whatever reason. And look at, God bless him. He's got his point of view. I understand that. But Johnny Carson would have different people up there and say, what the hell is going on in California with the homeless and with the crime?
Oh, yeah.
The looting. It's wrong. And this is what's lacking. A moral compass. Hollywood, its moral compass, there is no, what do they call this? What's the thing that points north and south?
The compass. Yeah.
No, but what is the thing called? The arrow.
The needle.
The needle.
Mm-hmm.
There's no needle. There's
Yeah.
there's no longer any needle. Before, you would have a needle that was able to push and pull.
Yeah.
Now the needle, there's no needle.
Well, and something else, Pluto TV has a Johnny Carson channel. It's 24/7, and I encourage people to, watch Carson, because this guy really was somebody who was, he was an entertainer for everyone. Late night was for everyone. It wasn't for Democrats or Republicans. Johnny would go after everybody. He would lampoon everybody. He would have different guests on, and it's refreshing. And it's so, when you watch those old Carsons, it's for me, it's part nostalgia, because I remember my parents and my grandparents watching it, and therefore I would watch it. And then, of course, in the 90s, I would watch it myself as I was into my early 20s. But, it's interesting to watch it now in comparison to what late night has become. And it just seems much funnier and much more fresh and dynamic. It's just a very different experience altogether, watching those old Carsons in comparison to what late night has, sort of devolved into. Hey, something else I wanted to ask you about. I see a lot of people on our side kind of like brag about canceling their subscriptions to Netflix or Disney Plus because they hate Hollywood. Can conservatives build a robust counterculture or fight the culture war within entertainment by canceling their subscriptions to Netflix, Paramount Plus, and other entertainment platforms? I kind of believe that it's important to still go to the theater, watch the shows that you like, and just avoid the ones that you don't like. And that's the message that gets back to them through, whatever metric that they're using to see who's watching what, box office, whatever. And I still want to support what I like.
Yeah, I think we have to watch entertainment, and you can choose. There's enough to, as long as they put alternative content up there. Like the best thing that Netflix could do for their business model is call me up and say, we want to run My Son Hunter.
Yeah.
Imagine if they did something like that. All right. But you can't, because the woman that's married to the head of Netflix was the first person that gave a fundraiser for Obama in Los Angeles.
Yeah. Right.
Back in the day.
Mhm.
All right.
What
All
about
right.
like Amazon Prime? How do you get it on like a platform like that? Because I know that Dinesh D'Souza and Amanda Milius and Nick Searcy, they're able to get their films at least on Amazon Prime.
Well, that starts. Well, our producers, the Unreported Story Society, maybe they tried, maybe they didn't. Maybe there's there's a whole other different thing that happens there.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that is.
Your film is just too flat over the target. The flack that you're taking and the resistance to My Son Hunter tells me that it's a powerful film. It's obviously prescient. It was ahead of its time by a year. And we have no idea what else is going to come out. So I think that it's probably more of an important film now, more than it was a year ago. And
it is. People should
check it out.
Yeah, people should check it out. But, again,
it's a good film.
Yeah.
It's
fun.
Beautifully shot. I love the satire. I think I think the acting is superb. You got a really deep cast. I was really impressed.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
Johnny James. Yeah.
Plays a Joe, and I didn't want a weak Biden. I didn't want to, the other thing that gets me upset is when they continue to, well, Joe Biden's older now, and they questions about his age, and 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 more questions about his age. No, it's his policies that are destroying America.
Yeah.
Leave his age alone. The energy policy, the immigration policy, the economic policy. Joe Biden is a danger because of that, not because of his friggin' age.
Yeah.
And who's behind him. They say, well, he's a puppet to whoever it might be, the flavor of the month that they want to say about. And I won't say who. We all have our suspicions. But tired of it. That doesn't fly.
Well, I don't think we need to point it out. I think it's obvious to everybody.
It's obvious, but you talk about his policies.
But I think that's low hanging fruit. I think it's better to go after the policies because those are the things that people feel. Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, and that was what was good about the movie is you could have easily done, a caricature of what people think Joe Biden is like.
I took that all out of the script. The script had things where he was stumbling and picking up dollars when he was on the floor, and I didn't want to lowbrow it. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to demonize the drug addiction. Two things.
Yeah. Two
major things that make it very dangerous for the left. And the left in some of their critiques were upset with some of that because, they had to come after, well, that didn't happen with the communist China, stupid stuff that they were. But no, I did not want that to be a distraction because the guy's affecting.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
He's so old, yet he's got everybody bamboozled.
Yeah.
He's got them all bamboozled.
Well, and the reason that
no joke. He says that one more time.
About it.
No joke.
I'm with you, brother. Yeah, that drives me nuts. And the whispering too. It's just so creepy.
But people, they go for it. The left, how stupid. I don't get it. And you're not supposed to say that. I can't say that.
He's a figurehead president, and that's what they want, So, hey, speaking of supporting good entertainment, watching TV, watching movies, is there anything that you're watching right now, or you've seen in the theater or on TV streaming, new series or anything that you enjoy that you could recommend?
Funny, I watched the movie the other night, and it hits a lot of issues. And I watched it because Italian director Ettore Scola, when I did The Dukes,
mm-hmm.
and I got Best First Time Director and Best Screenplay from that director, Ettore Scola, who won Oscars and the Golden Palm and the Italian Oscars, and great Italian director, one of the giants of Italian cinema. Him and another guy from France, and Mario Monticelli, gave me these awards in 2008 at the Monte Carlo Festival of Comedy. So I said, let's watch this film by Ettore Scola that I remembered years ago. I didn't remember the film particularly, except that Marcello Mastroianni and Sofia Loren were in it.
Oh, wow.
Una giornata particolare, una giornata particolare, a special day or a particular day. The film is a very sensitive film. And basically, it's a two-hander. It takes place during fascist Italy, the day that Mussolini and Hitler comes to Italy, comes to Rome. And Marcello Mastroianni and Sofia Loren meet up. Happenstance. But it hits a very, it does hit an issue of certain things. Feminism, or women, and homosexuality. Marcello plays a homosexual in the film. And, but the most subtle performance you can imagine, but it hits a lot of issues, a lot of understanding issues, or issues that should be in terms of this fascist element, but you can also echo it and see aspects. So that film was, I think, something, only because I just watched it the other night, but I was surprised that because it was done, I forget how many years ago.
Yeah, I was going to ask. It's
and it was dealing in this issue back then.
Right.
Back then.
Yeah.
It's astounding.
That's what's so great about art and movies and entertainment is some of these movies come, straight out of the past to show us exactly what's going on today. It's why I love cinema.
Yeah.
And storytelling.
Yeah, you're right.
It's like the only medium that can really do that.
Yes.
And be a medium that's lasting generations. Yes. That's why I guess that's why people still, they still teach, the Odyssey and Homer and all the classics, all that stuff still, is still relevant. It's crazy.
Yeah. There's a great, it's part of Amazon Prime, I think. I forget what it is. It's Film Classics. And you can get that for a few bucks a month. But the classics from the 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s, I mean, it's just a barrage of this wonderful cinema you forgot all about.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And there's one of those that I look at those. I look different films on that. But
that's one of the positive things about streaming, is that no matter how much maybe if Hollywood wants to put out garbage, or 50% garbage, we can still go back. I mean, there's tons of films that I've seen a lot of films, but there is also probably more films out there that I've never seen.
My God, I'm telling you.
At least with the streaming, it's given younger generations and new generations an opportunity to go back. And
they'll never go back and see it. Most of them don't see it. But for those people that have some inquisitive, it's amazing what is on there and the quality of the film that's on there. Not all of them, but a large majority. You'll be shocked. You'll say, look at this title. It's some nebulous title and the poster's kind of from the 1930s and 40s, some interesting, and you watch it and you go, my God, the writing, the message in this is astounding.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Besides great Jerry Lewis movies.
Yeah. Man, that guy, absolute legend. Okay, so I found something funny that I wanted to show you. I think it's Steven Spielberg behind a video camera crashing Dick Donner on vacation.
Oh yeah.
In Hawaii.
Hi, Dick. Hi, Dick. How you doing? Dick, I'm watching this movie. Hey, Dick. Hey.
Oh my!
There he is.
Oh my God!
Dick, I'm watching this movie. Dick, I'm watching this
Holy! I don't believe it! Oh my God!
Hey, Dick, I'm watching this really sexy movie.
Oh!
Steven has you on.
Oh my God!
Yes,
Oh my God!
On TV's bloopers and blunders.
Oh my
Say hi.
God!
Yeah, hi.
There's Sean, Josh, Martha,
Jeff Cohen.
yeah,
Hey, Dick,
Gary.
What are you doing here?
There's Key.
Yeah.
Hey, Dick, we're gonna stay with you the whole time you're here.
You're coming up here in a minute, Robert.
Yeah, I know.
This is great.
Hey, Dick, we're gonna do sequels to this movie. There's gonna be revenge of.
Wait, I hear something. Shut up!
This poor guy trying to get away from kids.
The wrong way up. Let's do that. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Oh my God. Freaking lighthouse. I don't believe it. Jesus. Oh my God. This is
Dr.
unbelievable.
Fratelli's,
He was a great person.
yeah.
That laugh was all the time. That whole time shooting was a great, great man.
Yeah.
Dick Donner.
Everybody always talks about that laugh, that it was,
Yeah.
and his voice. You just said that booming, big voice.
robust voice, and that was his spirit. And you know, when we did Davi's Way, the documentary on me, you know,
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw it. It's good. It's very funny. And I met an Italian, a big superstar of Italy, JX. He's like the Jay-Z of Italy, right? That kind of guy. And I did the Italian version of The Voice anyway. So I did a music video for JX. And he said, I hope you don't mind. I have to show you something. And he has a Goonie tattoo.
Huh.
And he said to me, I tell you, Goonies is more to me than War and Peace. He says, Italy is the Goonies of Europe. And we have that. And I showed it to Dick. And we filmed Dick watching that from the, and calling him in Italy. And he got a kick out of that. But Dick Donner was a great person. And that was funny. You know, that was in Maui.
Yeah. What was so Dick?
We were in Maui and I went to Lahaina.
Okay.
I mean, so, you know, I think back when it was what recently happened. We were there and, you know, I was thinking back and I was saying, too bad. I was thinking getting a contingent of, you know, it's always difficult. The Goonies go back to Lahaina to help the people, you know?
Yeah. So Dick wanted to take a vacation after Goonies. So
yeah, he lived there, and Frank
Okay.
Zappa lived across the way, or Alice Cooper, some of these guys. We met them there. We lived right next door to him in Maui.
Wow.
So Dick went to his Maui place
Right.
to just relax. And Spielberg, who's a great person, flew us all down as a practical joke, and we stayed like 2 weeks.
Wow.
You know, I mean, we said hello to Dick and let him do his thing.
Sure.
And then we all had this little vacation. They wanted to give us a vacation.
How great. You know, that's amazing. It's just you
Oh,
guys.
there's great people in Hollywood. You know,
Well,
I know.
It just seems like all of you guys, you know that family atmosphere that's caught in that video, you know, on that videotape from a video recorder, probably on Steven's shoulder. That comes across, you know, in the movie. You know,
that may have been Frank Marshall. I forget who filmed that. I don't know if Steven was there.
Yeah, it's hilarious though. But it seems like
Mark Marshall.
Okay.
Mark Marshall.
But it seems like that was a tight cast, and that comes across on screen.
Yeah, we had a reunion during the COVID. Josh Gad, we did a script reading for charity. He raised a couple of $100,000.
Wow.
And Josh Gad had us all. I think we were the first reunion, and then it became successful. And other people were doing it.
A couple times with the reunions, but it was. I remember that. I did see that.
Yeah, Goonies kicked that off. That was Josh Gad that brought us together on that. And we still are all close. We're on email things and we talk, and you know, somebody gets hurt or there's a thing, you know.
Yeah.
But there's wonderful, wonderful people, you know. I'm talking about the left, of course, the extreme left.
Well, everybody's still got hope for a sequel, even without Dick. I still think it's possible, but who knows?
About that the other day.
What?
Said you were tweeting about that the other day. That's like, I'm sure you get that question a couple times a day.
Yeah, you know,
it's one of those things where everybody wants to do it, but you know,
who knows?
It's money and willingness. I mean, that's basically what it comes down to. So
who knows?
You know, it's funny, Robert. A lot of Cinemark theaters and a lot of the chains are running. A lot of movies that are turning 35, 36, 40. They're showing National Lampoon's Vacation. They're showing Scarface. They're rerunning all of these films that my generation grew up watching in late 70s, 80s, and the 90s, the Gen Xers and the older millennials. And even they've got, I think Chevy Chase and Beverly D'Angelo are touring some of the theaters and showing up at some of the venues in order to get people back in the theater. But I think it's partially, movie theaters want to get people obviously back to the movies, and they don't have some of those iconic movies, or they're not making necessarily those kind of movies. But at the same time, if you have that to go back to, why not show Enter the Dragon? Why not show, why not show Raw Deal? My gosh.
Well, Warner Brothers has their 100th anniversary, and part of that,
Yeah.
they're releasing to the AMC theaters films. And
Mhm.
Goonies is currently, or like a week and I took my little 4-year-old.
Yeah.
We took her to see Daddy on the big screen. And of course, Goonies is being now. The funny part about with Warner Brothers is I watched their clips for the 100th anniversary. They have great films there, but not one shot of Goonies. And the pirate ship, there's a shot in Goonies, if you see it. When we see the pirate ship for the first time, that's one of the most magical moments in film. And to show that was shot in a soundstage at Warner Brothers, the largest indoor underwater soundstage or water soundstage. And they should have some editor really screwed up on that. I meant to tweet something out that to Warner Brothers on that.
Well, especially given that
their real reactions to the actors, they hadn't seen the.
Yes, they hadn't seen it, and that we were all told. They kept it a secret till they all saw that for the first time.
Yeah, I think they had to dub Josh. I think he said "Holy shit." So Dick was like, stop, we got to do it again, But since that movie's back in rotation in theaters, that should have been highlighted in the previews, in the trailer.
Yeah, for the Warner Brothers 100th anniversary.
Yeah,
they should have had one shot of that with the music and just a quick of the pirate ship and Goonies. I'm surprised they didn't. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been instant recognition by everybody watching it. And that's what makes it so great, is like you instantly know the movie without seeing any face.
Yes.
I saw a commercial for something the other day that was using the Goonies theme. It was using the soundtrack, and it was the Goonies theme music, kind of their tune in the movie. I have no idea what the product was.
The National Lottery.
Which tells you that it was a bad ad, but I remembered that they used the theme music, and I totally identified it. I was like, that's the Goonies,
Well, the Gen Xers, we're the ones with the money now that they're trying to.
Yeah, that's true.
Gen X.
Yep, we're the ones with the most discretionary income right now, which is why they're going after us, and bringing these movies that we all grew up with, seeing in the theater, back to the theater. And Goonies is one that I'd love to see in the theater again, because I remember what theater I saw that in.
Google it. You'll probably see it somewhere near you. Where you live? In Texas, right?
Yeah. And it's between AMC and Cinemark. They're bringing back a lot of stuff, and it's a lot of fun. It's a great excuse to go back.
Yes, it's good.
So, but we just saw Oppenheimer, and before that we saw Mission Impossible, and both were great films. They were a lot of fun. And
Oppenheimer was great. I enjoyed that. I didn't see Mission Impossible yet. I want to see it.
It was good, man. I mean, it's a little bit different than the last one. Not quite as action packed, but it's a little bit more old school spycraft, which I thought was a lot of fun. It had analogies to AI and going back to the analog world and the analog usage and going off grid. Like I said, it was kind of old school spycraft, without all the gadgets and the masks. It was really refreshing, and I thought it was kind of an interesting analogy to where Hollywood is right now with AI and the use of digital and all this stuff. It's which they had no idea would be kind of the issue of the day when they were making that film.
No, they didn't know.
Right? But it was just great timing. So I think Tom understands his audience better than most.
What part of Texas are you guys in?
We're in the red part of Texas.
Yeah, we're in Central, which is super red.
You can catch a show 7 p.m. tonight.
So we have our marching orders. Mr. Jones, A Particular Day.
Mr. Jones, you've got to see.
The Goonies.
And Giornato Particolare is you have to. it's you'll see the sensitivity of that film.
Well, sadly, we're out of time. Robert, thank you so much for joining us. It's always interesting and a lot of fun.
Yes,
go
but
ahead and
bleep
let
out my swear words. Don't make me so harsh to my fellow.
Let our viewers know where they can find you on social media so they can know what you're
At
up
Robert
to.
John Davi on Twitter, at Robert Davi on Instagram.
Everyone tuning in, make sure and subscribe to the Post Millennial for more Pop Culture Warrior interviews like this one. Also, like this video and leave us a comment. Let us know what you think in the comment sections below, and we'll see you all next time.
God bless
Thanks again,
you.
Robert.
Thank you, guys. God bless you.